First, let's take a live look at Clearwater, Florida, already feeling the effects of the Category 3 Hurricane Ian.
We'll hear from Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres in Tampa in just a moment. But first, let's get right to meteorologist Jeff Smith in for Lee Goldberg with the brand new update on Ian's path.
Yeah,
Jeff?
we got that latest 11 o'clock advisory. Sade, pretty much steady state in terms of intensity, 120-mile-per-hour sustained winds, very powerful Category 3 storm moving north and northeast at about 10 miles per hour, very slowly. And if anything, it'll slow down even more as it approaches the Florida coastline, the southwestern Florida coastline during the day tomorrow. Very well-defined eye here on the radar picture. This is the eye wall. This is where the 120-mile-per-hour winds are located west of Key West. But in the Key West area, they've had wind gusts up near hurricane force, a storm surge, flooding indicated there as well. Even some tornadoes have been touching down in the Miami area, courtesy of these outer bands in the right front quadrant of this storm. The track thinking remains pretty much the same. If anything, it's been nudged a little bit farther to the south. Right now, we're thinking of landfall tomorrow afternoon between Sarasota and Fort Myers. This could be a Category 4, so it could ramp up in intensity a little bit before it makes that landfall, 130 miles per hour, and then it does weaken as it moves over the Florida peninsula. But still, the damage will have been done by that point, and we're looking at the potential for an 8 to 12-foot life-threatening storm surge. Literally 8 to 12 feet of Gulf of Mexico water inundating the coastline between Sarasota and Fort Myers, all the way over to the Port Charlotte area. Tampa probably avoids a worst-case scenario because you'll be getting mainly an offshore wind there. And the timing couldn't be worse either. This will be occurring within an hour of high tide, the actual landfall of the storm. So hurricane conditions by daybreak along the southwest Florida coast, landfall in the afternoon. It's a life-threatening storm surge, especially Naples to Sarasota. And check out the rainfall amounts, 12 to 18 inches of rain, maybe upwards of 2 feet in spots over central and northeastern parts of Florida. What happens after that might reemerge over the Atlantic Ocean waters and make a second landfall in South Carolina before some of the moisture tries to get up toward the tri-state by later on in the weekend. Many more details on that in your AccuWeather forecast coming up, guys.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. Well, Ian slammed into western Cuba earlier today. Tonight, the entire island is in the dark without power.
And in Florida, Tampa's International Airport now closed and battening down the hatches literally. Orlando's airport will close tomorrow morning.
Walt Disney World, Universal Orlando, and SeaWorld Orlando all closed until at least Friday. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres made his way from Orlando over to Tampa tonight.
Joe, good evening to you. If you would, could you describe your trip over to Tampa and the conditions where you are right now?
Well, let's tackle the conditions first, Bill. Right now, just a light breeze and some light rain falling at the moment, but we know that's going to change and change quickly overnight. We can tell you this, major storms here in the Tampa Bay area, it would seem the good luck has run out. Hurricane Ian is on the way. It's been more than 100 years since there's been a major storm event like Hurricane Ian that struck this part of the Florida Gulf Coast. Mandatory evacuations are in place right now, and as Jeff pointed out, there is in this area tonight major concerns about the storm surge. Hurricane Ian already sending water crashing ashore as the storm inches closer to Florida tonight. Overnight, it moved over Cuba, and it brought with it a devastating storm surge, wind, and heavy rain. The heavy rain has been falling on downtown Miami, and the storm has brought with it tornado warnings for some heavily populated areas. Florida's governor warns tonight the state could get hit hard, and it could last for days.
It's going to exit most likely sometime on Friday morning. So this is going to be a lot of impacts, and they will be felt far and wide throughout the state of Florida.
More than 2.5 million people are under evacuation orders. In the Tampa area, traffic has been slow moving, and the mayor of St. Petersburg warns people to take the storm seriously.
If you're in an evac zone, you need to move. You will be on your own at some point if you're in an evac zone and you choose not to move.
On World News tonight, we heard from hurricane hunters with NOAA who had just flown through the storm.
The storm appears to be well organized, even from 45,000 feet. The strength and scope of Hurricane Ian, to me personally, professionally, is impressive. I encourage all possibly affected personnel to take shelter and take appropriate precautions.
With time running out, people are doing what they can to prepare.
It's time to maybe put up the plywood. We got sandbags and all kinds of anti-flooding devices that we're going to set up here in a little while.
Now, on our drive to the hotel tonight, the roads that we were on, they were largely empty. The gas stations and restaurants that presumably would be open, they were all closed tonight. We can tell you police are already in place blocking access to some causeways, some bridges, and get this, it's not just Tampa that's under a hurricane warning or an alert. Orlando, Fort Myers, Naples as well. We saw one update that indicated 21 million people across the Sunshine State are under some sort of hurricane alert. Lastly, state of emergency, of course, here in Florida, but also in neighboring Georgia as well. Bill and Sade, some very long days and nights lie ahead.